Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck. uh, Sort of a hiccup or a burp, burping. Anyway, happenings here, not where I was. Anyway, yes. I probably should start over, but why bother? Alright, anyway, I should see if it's still recording, and then I'd have an excuse to start over. If it wasn't recording, that would be a good reason to start over. So anyway, yeah, just still not back to my old routines, any of them. It's always winter here in the basement. I don't like that, so I gotta do something about that. What else? Just so much stuff to find room for, and get back to doing what I used to do, mostly. So enough of that crap. I could do comments, or I did make the mistake of watching a Piro video, and I won't bother with the politics subject because it's just bullshit. But anyway, he started off with some stupid thing about this stupid word information, and I know this is sort of a physics argument, but everybody's just keying on some kind of notion that this word information means something. It's just a word humans invented. It's not anything like real. We've just decided that certain things we're going to call information because they're important to us, and we can somehow, knowledge of certain things is somehow useful. Well, of course. And so now we call that stuff information, and then we say, well, that stuff isn't any different than the stuff we don't use. I mean, the knowledge of the things you have knowledge of, like there's LEDs in this light. Now that might be useful in some way to know that. But the information about what's the density of the little plastic lenses they're using, that's also information, but it's really not as relevant. And so I can just go deeper and deeper. I can find all kinds of, in every square millimeter of stuff, there's a zillion little bits of information. Now, so we basically, in fairness, you say, well, all the other stuff that we don't consider information is just the same. We just haven't declared it information, so let's call it information too, and let's just pretend the whole universe is made out of information. It's just stupid. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's just no logic to it. To sit there and give title as if it means something, because it's not a real well-defined word, this word information. Now, knowledge could be a little better. The word intelligence, right, that's a little bit tricky, because some people use the word intelligence to describe like an intelligence agency that seeks to acquire information about what somebody's doing. And then there's intelligence in the sense of smartness, like an IQ or something. So those are like different definitions, the same word, different definitions. But it's just this whole idea of making the function of our brain as if it, as if there's something special about the causes and the effects, in the sense of, yes, obviously knowledge changes how we behave. So if you have knowledge of some things, like how to tie your shoes, you're going to behave different if you don't know how to tie your shoes. Obviously, you know how to drive a car. Your life will be different if you don't know how. Fly a plane, don't know how to fly a plane. Your life will be different based on the things you do have knowledge of, or you know how to do. And but there's nothing magical about that either. It's all deterministic and obligatory. I mean, the events are what they are. I mean, a meteor could be heading for the Earth, and it's going to hit here in, say, 10 years. And it's just doing it right now. I mean, it's on its way. I mean, can't do anything about it. Now, we could react to it and try to do something about it, but even that would be completely predictable. It's completely already written what we're going to do. The script is already written, and we're just playing it out. We're just allowing things to push us into the direction we end up going. And it's just nonsense to think there's any other function. And, you know, in quantum mechanics, they invented this idea that there's some kind of real randomness, but not all quantum physicists believe that, but I mean, a lot of them argue it. And Pirot concedes that, well, yeah, it wouldn't change anything, and then he tries to make an argument saying it does. That somehow that breaks determinism, when no, it really doesn't. You know, it doesn't break it in any way that means anything. Because all you're saying then is, well, instead of doing something logical, you'll do something illogical. All it can do is break the thing you called intelligence. Because the intelligent part isn't random. The intelligent part can't be random. Once you know 2 plus 2 equals 4, you've taken all this quantum irregularity out of it, and it's always going to equal 4, and there's no way for randomness to affect that. So, you know, that's pretty stable. So the only thing you can break is something that's stable by creating some erroneous circumstance where you don't see the 2 and don't realize it's 2 plus 2 and think it's 2 plus 3 or something because of randomness. So you get the wrong answer. I mean, but that's all you can do with randomness is break intelligence. So it wouldn't be smart will, or it wouldn't be informed will, it wouldn't be intelligent will. So, and to call it free, well, it's certainly not free because the probabilities are still narrow. You can't roll more than a 12 with the 2 dice, so you know, there's no way of getting around it. And so, but it just illustrates how these people just hate the idea of thinking of themselves as robots and thinking of themselves as just byproducts of a system. And that's all we are. We're just reflections of a bunch of stupid events, most of which we weren't even players in. I mean, you're mostly created by the world. And the world isn't something you made, it's something that makes you. And that's just the way it is. And they're just so desperate to try to escape that conclusion. Because, yeah, I mean, in one sense, I mean, I don't find it at all. It doesn't make, you can't tarnish something that's already rusty. You know what I mean? I mean, it's already, life is already stupid, and you can figure out the stupidities of it. But it just makes it that much more ludicrous when you realize that, yeah, there's nothing really happening here except a bunch of rocks rolling down a hill. There really is no creativity. It's how every rock bounces is already dictated. We're doomed, you know, to just play out the narrow script. And the script is narrowed by how much knowledge we do have. And so we only have so much control over our lives, as pointed out. You know, most of what happens to us not because we did something in particular, but because our genetics is going to kill us, and because other people are reckless and sloppy and will run you over or break your legs or, you know, put you in a wheelchair. And even if you did have a part in the decision, every decision you make, you don't really choose, you just decide. And every decision is a formula. You know, 2 plus 2 minus 3 plus 7. It's always going to come out the same. You can't make it come out some other way because your brain already has answers to the 2 plus 2, and it already knows what minus 3 from 4 is, and adding 8 to, you know, you can already do all this math. So it's always going to come up with the same answer, having the same circumstances. But anyway, it's just watching them struggle to find any way to try to make life into something magical rather than something that's just parasitical, something that's just a stupid, robotic, redundant, bad play. And you just keep doing the play over and over again because the audience keeps dying. You know, so you know, you're just doing the same bad performance for another audience of dumbasses who will die before they can tell everybody else that, oh, it's a really bad play. And, you know, some of us are clever enough to figure out before we die that it might be worth saying, hey, it's a really bad play. Don't make any more actors. Because it just sucks. It's stupid. They won't do anything new. They're just going to keep doing the same crap. And it's crap. I mean, most of the thoughts you have in your head, please admit it. You wouldn't want them to be public. I mean, you wouldn't want your, as Pirro puts it, your film strip. You wouldn't want your film strip to be a public movie. Because you know there's just such petty little crap in there. And there's, you know, conniving and scheming and you know, it's just not a really, it's not a good show. And, you know, even when you're conscious of how bad, you know, your impulse engine is, it's still there. I mean, no matter, even when you say to yourself, I am going to be an honorable and decent thinking person, you know, the less than honorable thoughts still fly right in front of you. The suggestions are still there. And it's just the nature of the selfish gene, the stupid mechanism. And, you know, and then even when people use, like, you know, when these stupid life lovers like Pirro use words like information or knowledge or intelligence, and they're, you know, and in the context of what the average human is doing, especially, I mean, where they don't do any of this high-minded kind of living. You know, they're living like animals. You know, their thoughts are juvenile, you know, very immature in terms of their expectations and you know, how they interact with the world, and you see that in the, you know, the crap that they that they feed you, the commercials that work on the average human. And for somebody who has any knowledge at all to sit there and just make excuses for that and say it's okay when it's so humiliating to be one of these creeps that has to have insanely stupid political compromise. You know, he's talking about, well, why should we have to compromise with idiocracy, with something just, you know, plain uglily stupid. I mean, just so butt ugly stupid. You know, on average. So anyway, but this also gets to Pirro's. He thinks this natural thing is some kind of love engine. You know, that there's something. You know, that life is that life is somehow a precious word. You know, that it, and it's, you know, when the whole thing is a meat grinder. The whole design, again, is to kill 1 million innocent little creatures to perfect just a tiny percentage of the population and have them breed. I mean, the real percentages, you know, like if we took all the organisms, all the life forms on Earth, and we took the average numbers, I mean, you'd still be talking thousands of innocent children essentially molested and murdered, okay, for the purpose of this Frankenstein experiment, to glean out of that 2 little stupid heroes and say, yeah, let the heroes mate and, you know, create their master race. And that's what's happening on this planet. There's nothing pretty happening here. It's carnage everywhere. You know, even the pretty animals. I mean, you can watch the eagles feeding their young. You know, the not quite dead organisms. I mean, it's disgusting, and they won't concede. They won't argue from any kind of rational perspective about what we really are, the byproduct of what made us. We are Frankenstein's baby. It's a disgusting process, and we're involved in it, and, you know, we watch it happen. So, you know, some of the commenters, especially they picked up on the St. Jude thing, which I liked, because I've always hated those commercials. And, you know, the whole idea of it, just this whitewashing real horror, and you know, throwing this hope word on top of it and all these other kind of words, and it's just like, well, what do you, you know, it's just so fucking obnoxious to silver lining, you know, make excuses. And I sort of saw that with my sister, who died shortly, you know, she had a 2-year-old daughter, and she lingered for whatever 4 years, and fighting desperately, you know, and believing in her God, and just trying to figure out why her God was forsaking her. And to just think of that whole process and just how horrible it is. I mean, it's, you know, as obnoxious as she was as a proselytizer of her religion, you know, it's hard to have nothing but sympathy in the sense that she was so she was so honest in that devotion, and the depth of the pain of the disappointment at the end, where she has to concede she's been forsaken, you know, that maybe there's no God coming to the rescue, there's no God, that, you know, the whole thing was for naught, and all she's left with is the fact that she had a kid she can't raise. I mean, dismal. I mean, just, you know, the story can't write kind of a worst. Yeah, you can. I mean, there's people who have it. I'm just saying she had it so bad, and it's just, you know, I squint. I feel like, you know, and I didn't have to witness. You know, I didn't have to actually see it, you know, every day. And the fact that other people could do that, they could see it every day and survive it with a glib attitude, like, well, so what? You know, you just move along. You know, I can't. That just doesn't fit in my brain how you aren't shaken, stirred, broken. That, you know, nonsense just can't mean anything in that context, and yet people do it all the time, and that's frightening, because they're worse. They're you know, they're more horror. You know, the idiocracy is more. It's, you know, as bad as you think it is. It's 10 times worse in terms of how scheming and self-interested people must be, and how delusional they must be in terms of their own vulnerability, to be able to witness that and not appreciate how, so I'm just living on luck. That's all I got is luck. That's all that's between me and that disaster is luck. That's all I have is a shield, a protection. That's how thin the window is, or how, you know, how you know, my car is made out of tin foil. I mean, I just don't know how they can see it and not recognize that they wouldn't wish that on their own kids. They wouldn't wish it on themselves, certainly. They, you know, I mean, again, how they I guess they just assume that, well, if it didn't happen to me yet, it won't happen to me. Or I guess I don't know what the logic is, that they presume that they're going to remain lucky, and you know, everything's going to be okay, or some kind of crap like that, and that they don't have any imagination, I guess, because they really can't imagine seeing themselves in any other role than being lucky, or something like that. Anyway, hard for me to get my head around it. But anyway, the point I really want to get to is this, like I said, this idea that these idiots like Apiro glorify nature, glorify the life process, when you can see what it's made out of. I mean, they're glorifying the molestation of the innocent. I mean, brutalization, torture, and death, horrible, nasty murder. And that's most of what's going to happen. Most things are going to be victims. And that's just I mean, they're going to be victims early. well before they can collect their Social Security. You know, so the ones that do collect, you know, can ride on their sacrifice. It's sort of like the veterans who march around with their little soldier suits and play their little games, and it seems a preposterous insult to the guys who died, you know, so they can walk around saying, honor me, you know. It's just horse shit. And that's how I feel about Pirro. It's horse shit. He's a glib. He's mocking the victims with this stupid glib optimism that has no place. There's absolutely no reason not to accept that this isn't good enough. It's not even close to good enough to impose on anyone. You just don't have any business shoving anybody into this shithole. And, you know, I would say the same thing even if our society was so much better than it is, but it's just so bad. It's made out of such crap. The exploitation, the crass greed and selfishness all over the place. I mean, it's disgusting. All the dishonesty. You know, it's such a dishonest world. How can anybody sit there and defend any of that shit and say, oh, that's okay, it's acceptable? Yeah, it's disgusting. So anyway, so maybe I'll read some comments. I don't know. Might not be a good idea, but I really, you know, I just want to get to this point that people have to look at nature for what it is. And there's just nothing about it. I mean, any sense that you have of pretty or symmetry and beauty and all that stuff, it's okay. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel those things. I'm just saying you should really understand what it is, though. Like the tiger. Beautiful organism. Power, all the things it has. But it's horrible. It just kills things. You know, it just ruins the day for animals all over the place. And in a brutal way. And so it's a crocodile. And yeah, you think it's pretty, but it's a crocodile, essentially. And everything's a crocodile, essentially. And you just ought to be honest about it. Life is death. Life is, you know, torture than death. And for what? To satisfy an addiction. To satisfy a bunch of impulses that, you know, we didn't impose on ourselves, and that we're stuck saying, I want to eat one more potato chip. Can't, you know, I gotta have one more. We're just addicts, and that's the only thing that motivates us. And clearly, we're obligated to embrace some risk and some threat of pain and suffering to die. And so many of us chicken out a little bit because we don't want to go through that threshold. We don't want to have to endure the pain or the anxiety, the torment of, you know, having to push ourselves in that negative condition to get the job done. So we just sit on the diving board because we don't want to jump in the cold water. You know, and if the water was warm, then we would, and that's just the truth. You know, if if people were allowed to make this free choice, if it wasn't for these propagandists. And so even though Pirro talks about right to die, he doesn't really believe in it, in the sense that he still thinks that somebody has to be of some philosophical maturity or something to be able to choose. Again, assuming that life is good for somebody. I mean, even if there was a 5-year-old and he told you, I don't want to live, fuck you, leave me alone, I want to get out of here. Why would you force him to think otherwise? Why would you be idiotic enough to think I should make him want to live? You know, I should, you know, mess with his psychology until I can get him addicted again. You know, why would you think he needs to do that? What's motivating you except some sense in your own brain that you know, to prosecute one living organism and say it's illegitimate, somehow means you're illegitimate. And that's all they're doing. They're just defending their own life by saying everybody's life has to be important, therefore my life's important. I mean, they really don't want a fair trial. They don't want to really be judged. So, yeah, they're just so dishonest. So anyway, I guess that's all. I mean, I took 3 shots at it, and I don't think I still didn't get to the point of just how maniacal the evolution process is. Again, it's forcing a bunch of kids to fight in the, in the gladiator arena, and you start off with hundreds and you just knock it down to a few. Just this huge amount of losers for the number of winners. This is too stupid. All right. Anyway, so hi Gary. Well, hi. Gary, it's always been a constant voice of wisdom on YouTube. Brilliant man. Okay, enough of that. Eek. Thank you, but obviously, it's just people will scoff at such things. Doom. Well, that's not very. LOL. Oh, that's where I'm playing music. Okay, yeah, that's worth laughing at. Yeah. Women abused the hell out of me growing up. I don't know. That sounds like kind of a whine. I mean, everything is abused by something growing up. I was abused by the system. School and all that. Just it was. Yeah. Every day was like going. It was worse. Frankly, I would have liked to have gone to prison every day, rather than to school. It was that bad. But anyway. So Christopher Anderson, I keep forgetting that's fake Sagan. Change is good. That's just such a silly statement in and of itself, right? For 40 years, not changing was very, very good for Gary. Okay, it gave me a stability that made it possible for me to live, without going too nutty. And, maybe change won't be so bad, but, and maybe it will be good. But to say change is good, I just think that's horseshit. When you're in a good place, change is bad. Okay, you don't need change then. And I didn't need change. I just hope that whoever moved into your old house had it blessed by a priest, you grumpy bastard. And you really think that'll help, do you? You really think any of that crappy prayer crap does you people any good at all? That a prayer's ever been answered in the history of mankind, or that God didn't die, whatever, 6,000. He died right after the creation, right after he sent Eve to hell. He was out of business. I'm just saying, the whole thing is just so stupid. But whatever. No point in arguing that, I suppose. There's got to be a point. It's just a mind is a terrible thing to waste, fake Sagan, and you're wasting it on a desperate hope. It's just not good for you, not good for humanity, for any of us to live lies. Hopefully I'll get back into the routine and become my old self again. Well, at least he accurately quoted me. Pretty accurate, I think. Hopefully not. I like the new, humbler version of inmendham. I don't think I'm versioning very much. But whatever. You sound almost human again. I don't think there was any doubt of my humanity. But, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. So the style thing, I guess, means something to some people. It's me to pie angel heaven whatever, and then this italics I can't read, so fuck it. On the move, I'm going through the same think right now. I'm interested in the hardening phenomenon. Hoarding phenomenon. I'm not a hoarder, really. No, I'm really not. See, again, hoarding is when you have way too much of something, or like you got a 17-year supply or a 500-year supply of something, Now, the only thing I think I've hoarded are broken cameras. Okay, so I have way too many broken cameras. I mean, cheap, you know, eBay broken camera kind of thing. And I hold on to them because I just always think that someday I'll take them apart, pull the lenses out, pull this out, do this, do this. And yeah, I never really get around to doing any of that crap. But I mean, otherwise, I don't think I hoarded anything. I mean, I do have too many hammers. I only moved with about a dozen of them, though. So I went from like 25 down to, you know, 12. But, you know, so some tools I have preposterous redundancies. You know, I might have 50 screwdrivers. So yeah, some of that stuff's got to go. But it doesn't take up much space, so it's not that big a deal. But a tool is a tool. You know, you can't just throw it away. So you got to find somebody to give it to. And that's sort of the problem, is just dumping this stuff. And, you know, sometimes you don't want to get nothing for it because you've had it for 10 years and it's been an inconvenience. And you're like, oh, I'm not going to give it to somebody. I want some money. I mean, I've sort of worked to keep this thing from the garbage can, and I should get $5 for it, you know. And it's like, you won't, you know, you just don't feel right about getting nothing. And but anyway, it is an interesting accusation for somebody to make. But you know, I don't think I was ever a hoarder. I mean, I had a lot of interest. I painted, you know, and then I did a lot of different kinds of mechanical work. So I had to have lots of different kinds of tools for the different kind of work. And then I had the electronic stuff, and then I have the computer stuff. And yeah, you know, you add it up, it adds up to a big pile of crap. But anyway, sort of. Anyway, but it is amazing how at some point it becomes hard to get rid of certain things. Yes, it is hard to just chuck things in the garbage. I just find it obnoxious to, you know, even, you know, I have some crappy clothes that I'll never wear, and, you know, that somebody else gave me, and they just don't fit or some other thing, and it's like, but I can't throw it out. I mean, just, it seems evil. And you see that quality in yourself that wants to get rid of an item only if someone else will take care of it. Yes, exactly. Gary is out of his element. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't really have an element, but obviously you can be in acid or you can be in something warm and comfortable. And yeah, I feel, you know, this isn't my, this is like, you know, yeah, I'm like a summer person and I'm living in winter, you know, and I just, you know, it's not, it's not the place I want to be, but, like I've said, it you know, could be so much worse, so I'm really fortunate that I had some place to land. I mean, I've fallen and I can get up, so that's good. I wonder when I would see you comment on St. Jude commercials. Well, I've been doing it my whole life, but whatever. These should cause people to examine our attitudes towards reproduction. Well, I mean, how many of those stories do you need to hear? I mean, I just don't understand how, like, one's way more than enough for me. I can barely get through one of those stories. And I just don't know how people aren't just totally turned off by this shitty deal they've made. I live a good, comfortable life and collect my Social Security and go to the Bahamas and blah, 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 and do this and do that. And they get cancer. And they're comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that. No. Unfortunately, we seem to be indoctrinated beyond hope. Well, we don't seem to be, but yes, they seem to be. Have you checked out the Shriners Hospital commercials? I just, you know, like I said, the whole world runs on this tragedy thing. They feed on it somehow. Again, I never, you know, they made TV shows, you know, cop shows, all kinds of human drama and trauma. And then 911, you know, shows about, oh, he spontaneously started suffocating. I mean, about all kinds of crap that could happen to you. And it's like, I don't really want to know that could happen to me. I mean, it's not gonna make me sleep comfortably at night to know that, well, at any moment my heart can aneurysm and blah 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 and blah 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 will happen. I don't want to know any of that shit. But people love that crap. And it's like, oh, yeah. that Eric kid does a really good job, but the ads just make me frustrated. I don't have a birth defect, but I wish my parents had not created me simply because I was forced into this crazy society in which one just has no choice other than to go along and get along. Yeah, well, it's even worse than that. I mean, it's just the idea that if you have any kind of, like Christopher Anderson said, if you're ever humbled in your life, then you might do this introspection thing, where you'll take a look inside yourself and you'll just see that I suck. I mean, I saw it as a kid. I mean, I just, there was a point where I realized I'm an asshole because I was thinking about how I was always resentful if a friend of mine, was, getting the girl I wanted or somebody was doing something. I mean, I was always pissed off, when somebody else was doing all right, in a sense, because I figured they're taking opportunity away from me. Anybody touching anything that might be mine, is stealing my claim, so to speak. And just like I said, all the little things you do where you're just in it for the graft. I'll be friends with him because he's got a car, and I'll do this, and all the little murders committed, and just having to deal with that alone. Why would I even do that to my little Frankenstein monster? Why would I think my Frankenstein monster wouldn't go through the same experience of having to realize, oh, I suck? Who needs it? No, you don't need it. Richest person I know, always bro. Yeah, well, bro is bullshit. But anyway, awareness is a fucka. Ha ha ha. Well, language is, speaking English is cool. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, it's 9:50 Quinn miles. Well, I don't know what all that crap is. Not scared for myself, scared for you. I don't know if I believe you, but okay. A problem is most kids have kids or just kids. Yes, most kids that have kids are kids, right? So that's a big problem. And so he says here, legal age for having kids 25 years old. So yeah, something like that would make sense. Certainly, some sort of obligation to recognize your civil responsibility. So especially for people who can't take care of their kids, it should just be known that, yeah, you can have one on the state, so to speak, but one. The rest of them, no, you can't have them. You either have an abortion or you get sterilized. All right. Being on if you want the cash. If you want to steal out of somebody else's pocket to clean up your mess. And we don't clean it up very well, right? We spend all this money on public education, and obviously it's public education by a bunch of assholes like Puro, a bunch of phantasmagorical silly people. And they just lie to kids and, instruct them so poorly that the average human is, reaches maturity and they're still scheming, selfish assholes. Alright, anyway, being on a dematerializing phase in my life, your words make extra sense. To declutter our existence, being some sort of joy and liberation. I don't know, that just all sounds like much to me. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I also didn't agree with Peterson on this topic at all, so that must have been when he was talking about the right to die or something, or maybe it was animal rights or something, I don't know. Buy Bitcoin. So that was on a economics video. So again, Bitcoin is an example of this fake charity of the world. Like Bitcoin is some sort of civilizing thing, like it's something we do for each other. It's a pyramid scheme, for fuck's sake. It's a get-rich-quick scheme. The only way it works for you is it has to not work for somebody else. That's it. There's no other way for it to work. You basically have to be stealing money from some dupe to make money. There's no free lunch, idiots. There's no free wealth. You have to take it from someone. Damn. Interesting. The usual religious non-cognitivism rears its head again in Mr. Anton's video. Oh, okay, that's a way old video. Alright, life when God turns away from you. Life in a basement. I don't know what the hell that means. But whatever, you think so. God gave me 40 good years and then decided to screw me over after 40 years. Because he hated me. Why wouldn't he have screwed me over? I mean, I actually, just for the sake of the sentiment of it, I actually did do a little, hey God, if you are up there, look, I can't stand being here, so if you have to kill somebody, kill me, not my sister. I mean, I actually did do that. I said, what are you doing? This is nonsense. Anyway, you made Mendham famous. It would be a shame for you to change your username. Yeah, well, I guess I'm going to just leave it alone just because it confuses people to change anything. But, yeah, as I stated, the only thing I liked about Mendham was the trees and the dirt and the water. The people were shit. I think a good name would be an insignificant YouTuber. Oh, that's Wooter. He's a troll from the Draft Physics channel. Yeah. Enjoying you. Okay. That's good. Yeah. I always appreciate the voice of the women's and such. O'Brien had this period of material social media involvement. Oh, that's Annika. Yeah, where the hell has she been? Brain farting left and right about everything and everyone. Well, I sort of predicted that her kids are going to probably just wipe her out. So, maybe they have. Having kids is not a great idea if you have plans for your life. The problem is that what she let out wasn't that much insightful, but on the contrary, painfully pedantic. Well, whatever. As women commentators go, I think she held her own, so whatever. Been listening to you for years, and you make my life a bit more bearable. I mean, I'm not saying she's not wrong about a ton of shit. I'm just saying she's fairly informed and articulate, which, it's hard to find nowadays. Been listening to you for years, and you make my life a bit more bearable. Okay. It's so refreshing to listen to someone who knows the game is lose-lose. Yeah, well, it's lose, and then it's lose fast or it's lose slow. Yeah, so that's really the difference. But yeah, in the end, we're all losers. People in my life are so ignorant, and God will provide mindset. It's very taxing. Until that day where we all roll snake eyes, then thank you. Yeah, and there's no, the really irritating part is when somebody really gets nailed, by reality. You really don't feel like picking on them by going, I told you so, fuckhead. Didn't I tell you you were going to get smashed? Didn't I tell you, foobar? Didn't I tell you that's all the world has for you? Didn't I tell you that's how it's going to work? You really don't feel like beating up on them, rubbing it in, I thought I'm the only one who hates St. Jude commercials. Well, apparently not. I don't know what this. Join the nearest Hare Krishna temple. Oh, I don't think so. I think I'll just block that. A commercial for Hare Krishna. Oh no. Why we stay material world. Yeah, right. Always. No. Hide. Yes. Fuck you. Ditch the long hair and try to find a different place to live. Zukanot 9. Yeah, I should take his advice. Let's have a vote. Who thinks I should take his advice? The troll with a retarded ZK09 name. Was it? I mean, just amazing horse shit. I mean, anonymous cowards, right? I mean, if this guy was somebody, you know, like one of those good-looking actors or something. I don't know if there are any. What's the guy? Can't even think of his name. We'll just say Zach, the actor. You know, then you could say, okay, you know, Mr. Cool, or, you know, Mr. Rich and Famous, he's entitled to critique me, but Mr. Loser Troll is going to critique and give me advice? I mean, how's your advice done? What's it done for you? You can't even do better than the default icon. That's as good as you can do, and you're giving advice? That's pretty pathetic. Was it for this the clay grew tall? I guess that's some sort of poetry, but I don't really do that. Different background, same stupid video again. Oh, William Gelfield. This is actually Wooter, and 4 other troll names. Has a middle finger icon. Yeah. Jeez. Hilarious. Anyway. Blast of fresh air. I hope these thoughts help. Well, they probably won't. You know, words are kind of useless. You know, frankly. You know, I hate to say that, but it's like, I'm already smart, you know, and I already thought of everything useful to think of as magic words to use to make everything all right. So I've already thought of all the magic words that I could use. There's no place like home. I mean, I've tried all that stuff. You know, clicking my heels together and stuff. Being a longtime fan of your channel, I realize sometimes suggestions might seem unempathetic. No, they just, you know, I'm just saying, there just isn't any cure. Okay, there just isn't. And I don't know your full situation. So, but anyway, I'll voice a crappy opinion. Oh, thanks. So it's a blast of patronizing air. Oh, okay. These are some really cool tiny home communities. Oh, well, says you. You know, whatever. Check out YouTube too. For homes, even though the homes are small, the land can be large. Yeah, well, I understand all that stuff. I'm just saying, you know, if you have to, buying something is pretty complicated and, you know, requires money and all that kind of shit. And, you know, and, yeah, it's just not practical. I'm stuck here for a while. I mean, it's just a fact. I have seen some really nice ones where 5 tiny homes shared a few acres and had gardens, etc. Yeah, I know, but you're still stuck with neighbors. Screw that. Everyone seems pretty chill. Yeah, well, that's, you know, that's like a storybook, but, you know, real life doesn't turn out that way. Also, communal and co-living. You know, none of that crap ever works. I don't even know what that means, co-living. I'm not a co-liver. While not ideal to everyone. Yeah, that's right. I'm one of the people who don't like living with people or even near people. Yeah, I just don't have any use for them. You know, it's just the truth. It might be better and possibly cool. You really need to search YouTube and Craigslist, etc. Here's just one example. I mean, whatever. Out of many, or whatever. You're just not getting it. Long term, perhaps 4 years or so, you have a Patreon or the like. If you put a couple of vids every week, yeah, again, Patreon is stealing money from retards. I'm sorry, but that's all it is, right? I mean, first, the people are too stupid to know there's a company stealing part of the money, which sucks. So they're too stupid to know capitalism sucks. And that the capitalists aren't doing any work, it's just software. I mean, you know, they're just screwing you over, taking a cut. But the very idea that you have to tell somebody, you have to say, oh yeah, we'll automatically take the money out of your bank account because you don't know how much money to give, and you have to have some machine do it for you. I mean, you know, people are too stupid to use a donate button, you know, where they can voluntarily donate and just put the number in and do it once a year or once every 5 months or whenever they felt like it. People too stupid to do that probably shouldn't be allowed to manage their money, frankly. So it just doesn't make any sense. Sorry, it's an evidence of idiocracy is the existence of something like Patreon. Just, yes, not only are we letting PayPal steal our money because we're a civilization that doesn't give us the public option, which is a nice, easy to use debit bank, government bank, you know, where you just put the money in, enough money to cover whatever you're going to buy. And that's it. Not a credit card, not borrowing money, not any of that crap. Just a little account. You can put your money in and you can make electronic transfers all day long. Why can't we have that without paying PayPal 3%? I mean, fuck you people. You suck. You're so fucking stupid. All right. Anyway, vote for Andrew Yang for UBI. So you really are stupid. If we're in a democracy, why not at least try? Personally, I think everyone should also be allowed 1 to 5 acres. Yeah, everybody should be given everything. You know, no, it just doesn't work that way. We have to be forced to endure the unpleasantness of feeding civilization, because nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do any of the work. So we have to be forced to do it. It's just a fact. If you give everybody everything, they won't do anything useful. It's just a fact. I mean, they won't do enough. I won't say they won't do anything, but they won't do near enough. Productivity goes into the frickin' crapper. I'm glad to see that you copied and are still making videos. I've learned from you how to see more clearly. You have great communication skills. That is an interesting subject. Because clearly I don't, in the sense that, you know, there's a very limited audience that I translate into, you know, that you know, hears my words, so to speak, or finds me not obnoxious. So I clearly don't have any skill in the sense that I'm not demonstrating command, you know, like, you know, I'm controlling anybody. And, you know, it's clearly not popular music. So it's kind of like saying some obscure artist who's, you know, just making noise, and some people really love the noise, but it's, you know, you wouldn't really say, oh, you're a brilliant artist, because no, you really are failing if you can't make it translate, if you can't why can't I, you know, there's a word I'm looking for and it's just not coming to me, but you know what I mean, if you can't master it, then yeah, you suck. And frankly, I must suck. So I have to work on my communication skills. Best channel on YouTube, inmendham. I mean, it's really nice, but you know, obviously, only you think so. You know, you and 3 other people. You're my favorite YouTuber and one of my favorite people of all time. Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, really, you know. It's very nice. I mean, 13 thumbs up for that. Wow. That's pretty, you know. Oh, there's 13 people impressed. Okay. No. It's a little embarrassing. But anyway, yeah, well, like I said, I need to communicate to the people that need to hear what I'm saying, and those people, I'm not doing it right for those people. I love your vids. They put me to sleep every night. Yeah, sometimes I do the same thing, but yeah, I like watching my videos. Negative attitude is my middle name. Cool. Okay, you make a good point on how negative mentality just snags on the gears of progress. Rather than being disgusted over what sludge the world is, the real game theory is just learning as much as possible about the sludge, and the pathway out of it essentially becomes obvious. Well, I don't think there is. The pathway out of it is to fix it. I mean, again, leaving it broken is failure. Because then you're just setting up for the next victim. And that's how I got here. Nobody fixed my parents' mentality. Nobody informed them that having kids is a hell of a responsibility. You're setting yourself up for some huge risks of colossal failures that you know, making messes you cannot clean up. It's playing with uranium. I mean, it's really, really dangerous. And nobody impressed that on them. And they just did what everybody else was doing in some glib, stupid way, you know, and not recognizing just how big a job they were set up for. Like, it automatically happens. Like, kids just raise themselves. And that's really how they treated it, frankly. I mean, they weren't very proactive, which was nice as a kid, but I don't think it, things get missed, and things that are important. That's a very productive attitude. I'm sure there are some who essentially want to effectively destroy the privileged life they are now excluded from. I don't even know what that means. Not at all. Anyway, the things you own end up owning you. Tyler Duran. Who cares? Yeah, sorry. I don't know. You know, again, I like messing with the stuff I have. So I'd like to have. Yeah, I mean, it's just some stuff it's nice to have. You know, I mean, if you're. It's like oil paint. I never painted with oil paint because it was just too damn expensive to paint with oil paints. You know, just stuff like that. So I think it's nice to own some stuff. But whatever, you know. So I have some now, and I have to. Now I don't have an excuse not to, so I really have to do some stuff. But I mean, there's too many things to do, and too little time to do it all in. One good thing, I can't ring your phone off the hook. Truth is, I have the same phone number, so, but whatever. I hope you are hanging in there okay. Ah, long cat guy. Yay. Long cat is long. Yeah. I wonder what he's been up to. To find out what some of these other people are doing. Anyway, watching inmendham is not watching inmendham not in his old house is odd. It is part of his character and such. I thought so too. I really thought I would just explode or evaporate. You know, it's like you expose some things to air and they just fall apart. I thought, you know, shit, I'm, you know, not in my cabin. There's no way I can live with not being in my cabin. It's the source of my energy, my little cottage. But we need an inmendham versus Zyak debate. I don't think we do. I left the link, but I don't think I want to go there. Gary, did you bring Santino with you? Oh dear. Yeah, that's sort of a sad story. Yeah, I wanted to dig him up, and you know, but yeah, I didn't dig him up. But I made a, you know, I made a nice grave and flowers and all that stuff. So they'll have to bulldoze it overtly, knowing what it is, because I made it look like a grave. Yeah. So I'll see what they do. But yeah, you know, that's one thing about the change that I suppose is good. Is it was a little hard, just because, you know, of all the cats I've known, and they're buried all over the place where I lived, and so yeah, some of that was reminders I don't have sitting there with me all the time. But the downside of that is, just as I'm pointing out, I mean, I feel bad that, you know, Santino is all the way over there, and, you know, obviously he's not, he's dead. But see, this is what I mean about the trap that life presents. I'm a perfectly rational person. I mean, I know the cat's dead. I know, you know, there's nothing. It's dead. It's just, he's gone. It's over. It's ended. The sun isn't on fire anymore. But it's just, you can't know that. I mean, you know, you can't feel it. You can't feel the sun being dead, and so your eyes just keep seeing the sun, and there's no light though, and there's no heat. And yeah, I don't know how to say that, but it is weird how even when you're so crystal clear in your rational philosophy, emotions can just be so retarded. I mean, just say, how could I still have a problem? Why do I have a problem? Why is there any emotion at all? And it's just that, it's like that love thing. There's just something that's just telling you, oh, you can't demean it by letting it go. Because once you let it go, then it's really gone. Because you're the only thing making it alive. You're the only thing making it something. And if you let go, then it really becomes nothing. That might be the way to say it. So you just can't do it. If being intelligent means you can know all of the potential pitfalls in life, it also means that you can reasonably predict the outcomes of various decisions you make. Well, see, that's the part that frankly, it really just doesn't help enough. I mean, obviously, it's a good idea not to know to drink and drive, and to know your limitations, and to be careful, to be humble in your interactions in the world, and not be reckless. I mean, all of that stuff is a huge advantage, but it just won't save you from all of the risks that don't have anything to do with you making a mistake. All of the shit that's going to land on you that you had nothing to do. It's just not the piano was tied over the window, over your head by somebody else. You didn't put the piano there. All right. The choose your own adventure that you are alluding to. So again, I never said anything like that. What's the requires, however, is that one not live pedestrian, whatever that means. You are the potential victim of a lot of unforeseen nastiness. True. There. That's the only statement right there. So what are you saying this other crap for? But I would argue that much of our lives come down to our decisions. Well, I'm saying that much of your life, your decisions, number one, you can't change what they are. The decision is what you know, and your situation, and all the stuff that goes into that decision. And you're stuck with it. You can't say, I should have chosen otherwise. Well, yes, of course you should have, but hindsight is 100% vision, right? So, I mean, it's, when you're in the situation, you don't have that vision. Star of Sagittarius, I will not read because he's an idiot. Yes, of course, we all have limitations. We cannot know all possible outcomes. The problem is that people, and I would include Gary, end up using this as an excuse. Fuck you. And then have bitterness towards the successful people. See, again, this idiotic notion that I have any bitterness towards success. I'm just pointing out the facts. The fact is that none of this success stuff comes for free. It's always, let's say 98% of the time, made out of some sort of exploitation and theft. So fuck you. Around them who arguably have made better decisions. So just more horse shit. I mean, obviously you don't make decisions like having polio or being in a wheelchair or having an anxiety disorder. You don't make those decisions. I'm not talking about oligarchs here. Then what are you talking about? Because frankly, that's all there are. All right, there's owners and slaves. Rather the simple business owner. Oh, the simple business owner, please. Who's trying every gimmick in the book to steal people's money. I mean, just such horseshit. What kind of gimmick, what kind of chicanery can I come up with so I can have a longer vacation this summer? So I need to steal more money from my customers. Next door, who spends his days helping other people get what they need or want. I mean, just amazing horseshit. God, what a deluded kook. I wish Gary would read your post. He's clearly very bright and articulate, and he has something important to say, but the increasingly self-pity, even if some of that self-pity is warranted or at least understandable, distracts from his focus the suffering of others. I don't know. So the self-pity, they're just facts. I mean, so I shouldn't include in my statements descriptions of the easiest analogy I can come up with, which are my own reactions to circumstances and to situations. I mean, what a pile of crap. I mean, really, fuck you, Joseph. Douche. Let's see. I'm not sub to Gary for the same reasons. He has important things to say about sentience and suffering. Yeah, those are more important. That said, I agree with you that even if self-pity is understandable, it is self-limiting. I don't even know what the fuck that could even mean. But anyway. So then he goes on a pity party. My wife has MS. So then he starts, pity me. And suffers many psychological, physiological defects. But if she only focused on those, she would not have the quality of life that she does have. Well, yeah, and maybe she had a worse case of MS, and then maybe your life would be shit. Because she chooses to focus on what she can do. And so, again, what does this have to do with... What videos did I make that have anything to do with this crap? I mean, really, fuck you. And what she enjoys in life. So where, again, did I make any arguments that I don't feel that I'm lucky? I said it in this video, didn't I? I said it in this video, I'm lucky. I said it probably in the last video. I probably said it in the video before that, and I probably said it in the video before that. So I've probably said it 4 videos in a row that I'm really lucky. Yeah. I mean, you people are just such assholes. Anyway, exactly, dude. So this guy hasn't figured out I have no interest in being called a dude. I agree. I mean, I'm just not your dude, boy. I agree in your video. 150. I agree in your video. So yeah. So what the fuck? 150%. Oh, an infinite amount. I won't even bother reading it because fuck you. And I mean, yeah, the dude thing is just such a turn off. I mean, why do you think you have a right to call somebody dude? I mean, if I call you a dude, if I say something like, hey, dude, I'm basically saying, hey, dumbass. I'm saying you're just kind of beneath me, and I'm going to, like, explain things for you, or I'm going to, but it's just a word of superiority. As soon as you say it, you're just basically calling everybody else a boy. Anyway, in patriarchal Western civilization, the marriage rate is high, and in society has become preposterous and stable. Well, look, the point is the marriage rates are down. 50% of the population no longer does have kids. It's going to get interesting as that number rises a little bit higher, maybe, and eventually there's going to be probably a real conversation about why are all these people who don't have kids, why do they have to be taxed out of their house to pay to raise other people's kids? Because that's frankly all you're paying for. I mean, 80% of property taxes are paying for other people's kids. That's all it is. I mean, and it's, here, $8,000 a year just to live in your house. So you have to you got to come up with $8,000 a year to live. And all of that money essentially is going to pay for other people's reckless, stupid, fucking pet ownership decisions. It's just, their decision to be an asshole and take on a responsibility. And here they are shoving the responsibility in somebody else's pocket. So anyway, I mean, that might become an interesting political subject. Right on, buddy. Hell with you. I agree, dude. Oh, fuck this. Why torture yourself? Get the hell out of there. At all costs. You should be living rurally. That is clear. Do it. I mean, whatever. All this is just very useless as a practical matter. Anyway. But Brondo has what plants crave. I don't know what Brondo. I don't know what that is. Damn, big changes. I hope you settle in your new place, Gary. Ah, Skid Row Radio. Long time no hear and such. I guess I'm settling. I guess that's what this is called. Anyway, I am getting a bit tired. This man is far too weak for that. Oh, that's not a very nice thing to say. Got rid of most of my stuff 5 years ago and don't miss any of it. Well, that's you. I either sold, gave away, or trashed it. The hardest part was getting rid of all my books. See, books, I mean, that's just kind of silly, right? Because almost everything worth anything in a book is already online. I ended up donating most of them to the local library. I kept just a small box of books. Like what? You know, run, spot, run. I figured I can get them all online anyway. Right, so you just made my point. So yeah, you collected a bunch of crap that has no value anymore, no use, because it's archaic. I gave away my stone toilet, or my wooden one. You know, oh yeah, well, yeah, I didn't need it anymore. I kept a copy of the Constitution. Well, that's sort of a waste. The Jefferson Bible. I don't know why that's anything. And an autographed copy of a book written by Gloria Steinem, LOL, among others. The point is, it actually feels good to live with fewer things. No, the point is, as you're just illustrating, is you didn't describe that you gave away anything that was part of your life in any real way that hasn't been replaced by something just as good. So that's just sort of horseshit. I mean, there's more. Let's see. Oh, what was any? Good luck sorting it all out. I know it's not easy. Yeah, well, whatever. But the point is what should I give up? Should I quit doing computer programming stuff and fiddling with this and that? Should I quit doing like the cameras and electronic stuff and fiddling with that? Should I quit doing the art stuff? Should I quit being a plumber? Or should I quit being an electrician? Or should I quit doing roofs? Or should I quit? I don't do too many roofs just because I have vertigo. But I have to get up on this roof. It's a little tricky. I can get a certain height, you know, and then once I go that next foot, everything freezes. It's really tricky. But I did practice a little. But anyway, I mean, it's what you have to do, right? You have to try to force yourself to find a way to do it. So I went up the back roof, actually. And it's lower but steeper. So anyway, I mean, it was good and bad. I panicked a bit, which makes it a bad experience, which just reinforces the panic disorder. But, well, whatever. No point in going through it. Some knowledge is cancerous to survival. This is an amoral statement. I don't even know what that means. So, I mean, you know, there's two parts to survival. I mean, there's survival in terms of comfort, and then there's survival in terms of the absolute fact of being able to stay alive. But yeah, I don't know. All right. Well, anyway. Probably enough. Yeah, Bob the Fly. He usually irritates me, so maybe I won't read his comment, but it'll probably just irritate me. So clearly provoked an awful lot of crap from other people. Arguing with an argument no one is making is known as a straw man argument. Well, that's really not a straw man. Straw man is creating a fake premise. I said only that if dumb people have more, all the children, their genetics would be more prevalent in the future, which is undeniable. You made up the rest. Oh, so don't tell me you're doing this. The smart people have to outbreed the dumb people. Well, that isn't going to happen. So there's absolutely no reason to waste a bunch of smart people in a war you can't win. So that's just pointless. The second argument I would make is you're an idiot if you really think the genetic difference makes the philosophical difference. You think that you think the Arabs are genetically Muslim? No, they're not. All right. This has nothing to do with genetic intelligence. It just has to do with philosophical exposure and how children are raised. If you let retards raise children, then the children will be retarded. That's the problem. Idiocracy is raising the world, and that's the problem. All right. Anyway. All right, so enough of this crap. So yeah, we'll call it a video and such. So I'll hit buttons and such. So till the next time. Yes, I mean, thanks to the considerate, and yeah, fuck you to some of the the bullshit. Like, what, I complain too much? Compared to who? I mean, fuck you. Really? Yeah. Okay. Till next time.